Look closely at this photograph. It is July 4th, 2026. An 18-year-old young man sits on a boat, laughing with his high school friends. He has his arms wrapped around them, smiling under the hot Mississippi sun. His name is Nolan Xavier Wells. He is a standout wide receiver, an elite athlete, and a brilliant swimmer. Within 48 hours, his friends would return to the mainland. His car keys would return to the mainland. His cell phone would return to the mainland. But Nolan wouldn't. Instead, a National Park Service ranger would discover his body washed up on an isolated, uninhabited shore. Local authorities immediately claimed there was no sign of foul play. They assumed he simply chose to stay behind on a deserted island and tragically drowned. But his family refuses to accept that story. Because teenagers don't voluntarily strand themselves on island without their cell phones. And digital footprints don't just erase themselves by accident. This is the unraveling mystery of Nolan Wells, where the spoken word completely clashes with the physical evidence. Nolan Wells was a boy with everything to look forward to. He had just graduated from Ocean Springs High School in coastal Mississippi. He was a celebrated wide receiver on the football team. Therefore, his summer was supposed to be a stepping stone to his next major chapter. He had already enrolled at Southwest Mississippi Community College to play college football. In fact, he had a massive Division I college football tryout scheduled for the very next Monday. Because of this career-defining moment, Nolan was highly protective of his body. His family notes he was strictly avoiding any substances that could impair his performance or fail a drug test. On the evening of July 3rd, Nolan cooked a fresh salmon dinner for his family. His mother, Christine Wonsley, remembers it perfectly. It was an ordinary, beautiful night. He hugged his mother, kissed her goodbye, and left to spend the night with friends. It was supposed to be a classic American holiday weekend. Thousands of people across the country were heading to the water to celebrate Independence Day. Nolan and his former high school classmates decided to do the exact same thing. Therefore, on the morning of July 4th, they packed onto a boat. Their destination was Horn Island. To understand this case, you have to understand the geography of where Nolan was taken. Horn Island is a federally protected barrier island. It sits roughly 7 to 10 miles off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It stretches about 11 miles long, but it is entirely wild. There are no houses, there are no roads. There are no stores, shelters, or modern facilities. It is completely uninhabited, accessible exclusively by watercraft. On July 4th, the island becomes a massive hotspot for boaters. Attorneys estimate that between 200 and 300 young people were partying on the sand that afternoon. Nolan was out there in the crowd, enjoying the sun. But as the afternoon turned into evening, the environment changed. The boats began preparing to head back to the mainland before nightfall. This is exactly where the narrative fractures into two completely different realities. According to the friends on the boat, an unexpected crisis struck. Their boat allegedly began experiencing an electrical failure or taking on water. Therefore, they needed to head back to the shore immediately. But instead of everyone climbing aboard to safety, the friends claim Nolan made a bizarre decision. They told investigators that Nolan chose to stay on the island entirely by himself. The reason? They claimed he had met a girl and assumed he would just hitch a ride back later with a different group. A local chancery court judge named Ashlee Cole, whose son was on that very boat, even posted a public statement online backing up this version of events. She insisted the boat was sinking and that Nolan voluntarily chose to remain behind. But Nolan's parents say that story goes against everything they know about their son. Nolan's father, Elmer Wansley, has spent his son's entire life instilling a core rule. He taught him a basic survival principle for going out with peer groups. If you go with 5, you come back with 5. Nolan was a disciplined athlete who respected his parents. Therefore, the idea that he would willingly stay behind on a pitch-black, wild barrier island without a plan is incredibly hard for his family to believe. But the physical evidence makes the friend's story even more confusing. When the boat docked back on the mainland, Nolan wasn't on it. But his car keys were, and his cell phone was. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who now represents the family, pointed out the obvious logical flaw. What modern 18-year-old willingly isolates themselves on a remote island while letting their friends sail away with their phone? How was he supposed to coordinate a ride home with different friends if he didn't have his device? At 11 p.m. that night, one of the friends finally called the United States Coast Guard to report Nolan missing. Shortly after midnight, a frantic Christine Wansley filed an official missing persons report with the Jackson County Sheriff's Department. A massive, multi-agency search erupted across the Gulf of Mexico. The Coast Guard, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, and the National Park Service deployed vessels. For 40 excruciating hours, his family waited for news. But on Monday morning, July 6th, the worst possible outcome was realized. A National Park Service ranger patrolling the northwest tip of Horn Island spotted a body in the water. Dental records quickly confirmed the tragic truth. It was Nolan. The discovery of the body did not bring closure. Instead, it opened up a floodgate of intense suspicion. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter stated early on that investigators did not suspect foul play. They believed Nolan had simply experienced a tragic, accidental drowning. But when the family finally got Nolan's cell phone back from the friends, they noticed something chilling. His recent text message histories were entirely blank. His Snapchat activity from that day appeared completely wiped clean. If Nolan had accidentally drifted away while swimming, why would his digital data be erased? Therefore, the family realized they could not rely solely on local law enforcement. They officially retained high-profile civil rights attorney Ben Crump to launch an independent investigation. Crump immediately hired digital forensic experts to attempt to recover the deleted files from Nolan's phone. Crump immediately hired digital forensic experts to attempt to recover the deleted files from Nolan's phone. But the digital world wasn't the only place yielding strange clues. Bystander video from Horn Island began circulating heavily across TikTok and X. Ben Crump publicly stated that one specific viral video appeared to show a physical scuffle on the island. He claimed it captured an argument where someone believed to be Nolan was desperately demanding his phone back. Furthermore, a female witness who was on the island that day stepped forward with a direct statement. She told the family's investigator that she spoke to Nolan right before his group left. She stated that Nolan explicitly told her he was getting back on the boat with his friends to go home. This directly contradicted what the friends told the sheriff's office. The public backlash against the friends became severe. The teenagers hired defense attorneys and went silent. Online creators began sharing their names, photos, and leveling intense accusations. But then, one of Nolan's close friends who was on the trip, Tristan Shepard, decided to break his silence. He sat down for an exclusive interview with ABC News to defend the group. Shepard, emotional, explained that the viral scuffle video was being completely misinterpreted. He insisted Nolan wasn't even in that footage. Instead, Shepard revealed that the voice yelling in the video belonged to him, capturing a completely separate fight he had with a stranger. He also addressed the massive controversy surrounding Nolan's cell phone. He explained that when you are on a boat in harsh saltwater, you don't keep your phone in your pocket. Therefore, it was standard practice for everyone in their group to toss their phones onto the boat's dashboard to keep them dry while they swam. Shepard's uncle, who was operating one of the watercraft that day, corroborated this habit. Shepard spoke through tears about the devastating loss of his friend. He stated, "Nobody would ever hurt Nolan in our friend group. We would die for him. Nolan brought us all together." He warned that online rumors were resulting in death threats against innocent teenagers. But the internet rumor mill had already grown completely out of control. A photograph surfaced showing a group of teenagers at a backyard pool party, with a red circle around a boy claimed to be Nolan. Social media sleuths claimed this proved Nolan was alive on the mainland on July 5th, a day after he supposedly disappeared. Even Ben Crump reposted the image, admitting he wasn't sure if it was fact or rumor. But journalists quickly pulled the technical metadata from the original photo file. The metadata proved definitively that the picture was taken on June 27th in Pass Christian, weeks before the trip. The viral breakthrough was completely debunked. The sheer amount of misinformation has deeply complicated the path to justice. But for Nolan's parents, the distrust of local systems is rooted in a painful reality. Ben Crump held a major press conference at Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network headquarters in Harlem. Filmmaker Spike Lee stood alongside the family in solidarity. Actor Tyler Perry stepped in to personally fund Nolan's funeral services. And former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick stepped forward to fully finance an independent autopsy. Because the family does not trust local Mississippi medical examiners to be completely transparent, they flew Nolan's body entirely out of the state to Washington, D.C. There, the former chief medical examiner of the District of Columbia, Dr. Roger A. Mitchell, Jr., conducted a secondary, independent autopsy. This review is specifically looking for any signs of physical trauma, bruising, or internal injuries that a standard drowning conclusion might overlook. As we sit here today, both the official state toxicology reports and the independent autopsy results are pending. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department has issued a formal plea, begging anyone who was on the northwest tip of Horn Island on July 4th to submit raw, unedited footage. They are searching for the objective truth hidden in the background of holiday videos. Every story leaves a footprint. Some footprints are tracked in the sand of a lonely barrier island. Others are tracked in the digital logs of an encrypted smartphone. Nolan Wells went out to celebrate his future, but he never made it to the gridiron. As the legal teams wait for the science of the autopsies to speak, a mother is left asking a question that every single piece of evidence should be able to answer. Why didn't her baby come home? The truth remains out there, drifting somewhere between the mainland and the deep waters of Horn Island.